Good afternoon. How's everybody doing today? This is all about thermal expansion in your RV. What? Thermal expansion? Yep, that's right, folks. Watch this. Why your water leaks. Why you might have a drip over here or over here, or maybe even over here. Have you ever wondered why your water pump was dripping? Well, these are just some of the questions. How about your protection devices? Has it ever occurred to you that maybe your pressure release valve was leaking because you had too much pressure? Has it ever occurred to you that just because your pressure gauge at your regulator says 60 psi, it's not really 60 psi? Could be even 100 psi. Because this regulator only controls the water coming through that hose right here. It has no control over the water that's already inside your RV that could be causing you damage. This is your basic setup for where you put your water accumulator and your expansion tank. In this graph, I'm going to be showing you where that yellow is highlighted. That's 100 psi. Follow that line all the way across, you'll see how many times it spiked over 100 psi. Each one of those also represents the same time that the hot water heater is running. And so it'll show you that it's the heat expansion causing those spikes. In this graph, it started on August 8th at 8 in the morning. You can see the spikes that are going over 100 psi. Now each one of these coincide with the hot water heater turning on. So as we go through this, okay, on this particular graph, on August 8th, right here, is where I turned off the water and installed my first accumulator. After I installed my first accumulator, you can see how the water pressure dropped from 100 and it actually dropped to about 80 on the spikes. They were still high, but they dropped to about 80. So then on the 9th, as you can see the date, 4 o'clock, I turned off the water again. See the pressure dropping to 0. And I installed my second accumulator. Now if you look at the spikes, I think the highest spike I got since then was about 70 something. But everything else is in the 60s. You can see how low everything is now. All the way up till today. You see how low everything is. Everything stays pretty stable. And the highest spikes are way low compared to what they were. They're in the 60s. So, yeah, it actually took me 2 accumulators to get it done. One was loaded. One was installed next to the water pump. After the water filters, and the other was installed at the inlet hose going into the hot water tank. But you can see here by the graph that the accumulators did fix the problem. There's not a doubt about it. everything going on, everything being said, I did my research, and the best thing I could come up with is an accumulator tank, because it says right on the tank, maximizes cycling pulsation and pressure spikes while increasing the life of your pump and saving battery power. As you can see in this graph here, you can see the freshwater tank, follow the blue line, it goes to your pump. Then I put in the first water accumulator, or pressure accumulator right there. Then follow the blue line all the way to your water heater. Then you'll see where I have the green line, that's where I put in the second one. I call it the expansion tank because they're identical, it depends on where you mount them. And that seemed to do the trick to keep the water pressure low.